What's going on, everyone? Robert O'Cook here, and I want to talk to you about who remote work and freelancing, who is this kind of work for this week. If you're new to my YouTube channel, please consider hitting subscribe if you're into the world of digital nomadism, remote work, freelancing, and you appreciate awesome content. So, freelancing, remote work, it's really not for everyone, but it might be for you. And so learning to kind of evaluate whether you're a good fit might be a good idea before you spend a lot of time or effort trying to make these things work for you. So just speaking quickly, if you're already working on the computer and the phone with the majority of the work you're doing, then there's a very good chance remote work could be a good fit for you because it's essentially using the computer and the phone, but it might mean that instead of doing that in a local office, you're doing that at home, you're doing that in a coffee shop, a co-working space, or maybe on the beach in Thailand. That's the beauty of remote work, is that you get to choose where you want to work from. So who's it not for though? Like, that's kind of simple, right? If you're doing it already on a logistical, technical side, then yeah, sure, you could do it anywhere else in theory. But there's a little bit more to it than just being able to use your computer and phone from anywhere. What kind of qualities people have that make it so that they're effective working remotely are going to be kind of related to self motivation, basically, and self kind of moderation, self control, kind of things along these lines. And what I mean by this is basically when you're not in a kind of local office work environment where your boss or coworkers are around, then nobody cares what you're doing, or nobody's looking anyways. Probably some people care what you're doing, but nobody's directly looking at you and saying, hey, are you working? Like, what are you doing? They're not really seeing what you're doing. So if you're the kind of person who really struggles to get yourself to do work by yourself without someone else kind of, almost, as an analogy, cracking the whip at you, then remote work you might find kind of challenging because you have to be responsible for yourself to show up, sit down, and put the work in. Attending a co-working space, which is kind of like a decentralized office space that anyone can go to, where you have other people around you working, can serve as a great kind of motivator to help you get in the zone. You show up to a spot where there's not much else to do there besides, well, meet some friends, talk to people, but also get work done. So for a lot of people, this level of flexibility to kind of be working from where you choose and kind of going about it in your own way, your own pace, is a massively refreshing breath of fresh air. But it can be a little bit lonely at times. There is something to be said about the massive awesomeness and value that comes with being around other people and forming camaraderie with them and kind of co-worker relationships in person. So again, co-working spaces are a great kind of solution to when that's missing, if you're just working at home, just working anonymously at coffee shops. So is remote work for you? Well, if you're already doing it and you feel like you're relatively independent, self-motivated, or that a co-working space might work for you, at the very least, here's the takeaway, is that give it a try. It's worth trying because it could be an absolute game changer and massively improve the quality of your life, because we spend so much time, a lot of us anyways, in our lives working. Well, might be worth checking out, does this work for me? Now, the other thing I mentioned at the beginning of the video is freelancing, and is that for everyone? And so freelancing is something that you can do as a remote worker, right? But it's basically where you're responsible for finding your clients who are going to pay you for the skill that you're delivering, versus being an employee where it's somebody else, you have a boss, there's a company involved, right? They're getting the work, you're just responsible for executing it. Who's it for? Again, it's going to be for people who are even more so down the path of kind of independence. They are responsible for themselves, and they don't mind taking on that responsibility of earning the work themselves to get their work. Now, that can be a lot of pressure. It can be challenging, especially when you're starting out. And so a lot of people are not the right person to be like in charge of going after the work themselves, and they do much better in a role where someone else takes care of that and they're responsible for delivering, for executing the work. So at a high level, you have to think about, am I a go-getter? Am I someone who would be willing to take that responsibility on? Or again, maybe just try it. Some people will very quickly be like, hell no, I don't want that. Awesome. You know that maybe freelancing might not be a good fit for you. I might still encourage you to maybe try it out, but some people are going to know, hey, this is just not right for me. Others are going to be on the fence, and if that's you, if you're listening, you're like, that might be me, I could maybe do it. Absolutely, I would suggest trying it out, because again, the rewards that come with being a freelancer are massive. It's the best way I can describe it is that every single engagement of work you get into with a boss / client, it's no longer a hierarchical kind of situation where what they say goes. It's always kind of an even playing field where there's a conversation between you. The conversation, what's it about? What work is going to get done? How much you're going to earn for doing it? When it needs to get done? Where you need to do it in the world, whether that's on the beach or at home or in an office. And how you do it. So there's, you get so much more flexibility and control over those elements, and those are pretty awesome things to have a say on, because you're the one who's actually doing the work, right? So if you're in the last group, I would say though, you're like, hell yeah, I'm so tired of working for someone else. I want to take things into my own hands. Then it's just a matter of figuring out how do you make it work for yourself. So anyways, I think that's kind of wrapping up what I want to cover today. Is being a remote worker or freelancer right for you? Well, here's some food to think about in this video. And if you're deciding, I want to get into remote work, I want to get into freelancing, that is something that I specialize in helping people with. That's not what this video is about though. So if you're interested in learning more about how I support people getting into these things, then feel free to check out in the video comments a link to the Digital Nomads Forum. That's my group for more than 13,000 remote workers, digital nomads, freelancers. There's lots of info in there for you. So if you got something out of this video, throw a like on there. I'm Rob the Crook. Hope it was helpful. Ciao for now.